Hey there, it is Flo once again. Today was another session of photo editing. In this particular episode, I am continuing where I left off on the previous set of hiking photos from Anne's Butte, hiking with a friend. I don't expect to get much done today because it's like really late already, a little bit tired, and it's very slow. And the first thing I have to do is, of course, another panorama, which take forever. I could like cherry pick and do like the easier ones and feel like I'm getting more done, but I think it's generally more psychologically productive to just do them in order, so then I don't like have all the nasty stuff to do at the end. Like all the, well, it's not really nasty, it's not undesirable, except the fact that getting a single photo result takes so long, sometimes hours, and that makes it feel undesirable. So if I leave all of those to the end, it'll be kind of feel like a major chore, but if they're just kind of spread out in between, then I feel like that's wiser and more natural. Anyway, there's some other things I was going to say. Let me think. Let me try to conjure up any of those conversation points. I guess one of them, some of these are in my video description, and I've mentioned it already, I am planning to move fairly soon. I don't know how long term of a move. I'm hoping to leave the place that I'm at and generally never come back. I mean, not never, but I don't want to live here anymore, so I'm trying to relocate. But last time I tried that, I ended up spending a couple of years in different locations and then kind of ended up back where I started. But this feels different. I believe it's going to be more long-term. Anyway, because of that, I have a lot going on, and my family's also coming to visit, and so I'm going to be busy with that for a week or so. So once again, I know it sounds like I'm always on vacation or something, or always doing away or doing something, but oh wow, I have a ton of dropped frames. I think it's stabilized now, but yeah, I didn't notice that, but at the beginning of the stream, I dropped like 1600 frames. Anyway, I don't know why it does that. It seems to be best as I can figure Odysee thing. I'll try to keep watching it. I tend to forget to look. If it gets bad, I'll restart the stream or something. Anyway, just keep going. So yeah, today I was packing, and yeah, didn't get a whole lot done. Had kind of a tumultuous day as far as internal emotional stuff. Always realizing how much I have to grow and learn. Sometimes I feel like I'm taking 1,000 steps backward for every one forward, and I don't even know how to define what forward is anymore. Sometimes it feels like I'm just walking backwards, but maybe that's something unique and virtuous or something. I don't know. Probably not. Doesn't feel that way. But oh, speaking of the purpose of life and all that stuff, I believe this is my 42nd video uploaded on the channel, so any of you who have watched almost said Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh my goodness, what is it called? Guide something Galaxy Quest. Just throw in a bunch of words that form various pieces of titles of movies to make it even more confusing. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, there we go. Maybe I'd get it eventually. As we learned from that movie or the book, I suppose, which I have not read the book, don't intend to. Meaning of life is 42, so I've achieved that today. But actually, as I was thinking of that, I was thinking, like, okay, I'm going to say that. That's going to be my stupid joke or, like, cringe thing to start out. But then I was like, no, that's not really what the purpose of life is. So I'm going to throw in a couple quotes. I just did a search for purpose of life Bible verses because that's more what I'm about and what I think is important. So here's one. Here's one from Ecclesiastes 12:13-14. Now, traditionally, I have found Ecclesiastes kind of a depressing book. I have to be in a particular mood to read it or a particular state of mind because it seems kind of depressing. But it has some really good nuggets in it too. The whole thing's good, obviously, but anyway, so we got Ecclesiastes 12:13-14 here. The end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment with every secret thing, whether good or evil. Pretty heavy stuff. And it sounds like kind of like bad news or like rough news, like yikes, scary news. But anyone who's studied the Bible more would know there's more to it than just that. And that's not, even though it says the end of the matter, all has been heard at the beginning, you kind of miss out if that's all you hear, the couple verses, but I don't have time to really get into it. But yeah, let's see, there's a couple others here that I was interested in. I didn't do any big old Bible study to prepare this. I literally just did search for purpose of life Bible verses. I just kind of wanted to see what would come up, and maybe there'd be one or two that stand out. Seemed like there was one in Proverbs in this list that I liked. But in reality, the purpose of life or what's going to happen is really about what God's purpose is. Here's one from Isaiah, chapter 46, verse 10. Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand and I will accomplish all my purpose. And that's God speaking, or perhaps Isaiah, but he's a prophet, so he's speaking the word of God from his perspective. So yeah, let's go through that a little bit slower. Declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times things not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will accomplish all my purpose. So God basically knew everything that was going to happen from the very beginning. Before the beginning, he's always known. So he can't be thwarted, basically. Which I find comforting. A lot of people might find that scary as well, similar to the previous passage. But it's really all in your perspective, in my opinion. Anything else in here? Let me see. I don't know where that Proverbs one went. I'm not gonna pretend I'm like a preacher dude or anything either, so I'm not gonna like say a bunch of deep and meaningful things. But I thought, you know what? If this is my 40-second video and I want to make that joke about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Meaning of Life, and there, that wouldn't be right for me. So I gotta throw in a couple little meaningful things, I guess, things that I value, and don't really expect anyone else to find it necessarily meaningful, but you know, share what you're thinking or what comes to mind and see what happens. You never know. I'm not finding that other one. I'm just kind of like browsing through this list. It's literally not thought out at all or orchestrated. I just thought, hey, I don't want to end on Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is kind of, what would you say? What's the word? Sacrilegious, I guess you could say. It's that at least the movie is kind of making fun of God in a way, and I still like the movie. It's kind of funny to me, well, quite funny in many senses, and quite a unique movie, really. But I don't necessarily, obviously, agree with much of anything in the movie. I just found it entertaining, so I'm just kind of responding to what I oppose to ideologically by sharing a few things that I find interesting or valuable. And I think that's it for now. I'm not really finding anything real quick on the list of verses, so let's just get going with the photo editing without further ado. Let's see. So yeah, we got another panorama. Let's see, I'm gonna just do a real quick recap here. This is the one that I finished last stream. It took forever, and I had to do a lot of corrections because there were stitching errors and whatnot. Feel free to look at my previous video if you're interested. I don't know, this is goofy. It's really weird to do. Oh shoot, I'm dropping frames again. I think I'm gonna restart my stream real quick, so I'm gonna be back in just a few seconds, hopefully. I don't know if I can figure this out, but I'll try to get it running a little bit more smoothly again. So I will be back in just a minute. Okay, I believe we are back. Hopefully there will be less frame droppage. We shall see. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, this panorama took forever, and I'm doing another panorama very much like it. It's basically from the same position, just from a different angle. So on this butte, there's several vantage points on top of boulders where there's less trees, so you get a lot of clearer view from a distance. So that's where my friend and I were standing in these photos. And I'm just gonna work on this panorama. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the only thing I do this stream, because it's gonna take a while. Let's see how many images we got. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8. I think that's less than the last one was, but it doesn't necessarily mean it will take any less time. I'm just copying the crop that I did on there. I don't have to do that a million times. Okay, let's see what I can do. I'm a little bit tired, so I'm not sure I'm going to do my best work. Maybe the bonus that you'll get as a viewer or as a watching this later is that I won't jibber jabber quite as much, because I think when I get kind of sleepy or tired, I'm less likely to blah 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 the whole time. So that would be good. It's hard to balance that, you know, as a streamer. I struggle with that. Like, generally, most advice or videos or whatever, just people say you should keep talking as a streamer, but I'm like, why? There's nobody here to talk to, so what is the point? But I guess if I don't do it, then anybody that might watch this later is just watching a mouse cursor going across the screen and not seeing much happening. Or at least hearing a voice going along with it makes it semi-interactive feeling of some sort. But yeah, it just feels goofy. I never got used to it. I've been streaming for over 3 years now, and it still feels weird. Okay, so try copying these settings. I would honestly rather just sit here and not talk at all, but I know if there's going to be any hope of somebody dropping by and wanting to interact, I gotta keep the conversation or the verbiage going on. Okay, just like the last one, the previous panorama that I did in last stream, I think I'm gonna boost the color in the sky, but not as much in the rest of the photo. I think I will boost the whole thing a little bit so it looks a little bit unsaturated, but the sky I think needs a little extra. 12, and then let's copy that across the board, see if that gives me a good baseline. I feel like the lighting in this particular panorama is probably going to change less from one end to the other, so I just did a click and drag and made a thing disappear, so I gotta do this. They need to fix this. They need to fix that. It's really irritating. Not manual, I want it to be by date. So if you click on an image or a thumbnail down below in this film strip view or whatever you want to call it, if you move it, like drag it like 1 pixel at all, it like drags it out into oblivion, and it makes your sort method go to manual as if you were trying to manually arrange the thumbnails. Very irritating. Sometimes I don't notice that I do it, and then I see like, where'd the image go? What's going on? Very annoying. Okay. It'd be really cool if all of these looked great already by copying those settings across. All I really have to do is very minor adjustments, but probably won't get that lucky. Generally, my approach on these is to do the first one in the set to my liking, do all the exposure adjustments and everything, and then copy those settings to everything after that. And I do the second one, copy to everything after that, do the third one, copy to everything after that, etc. It's very quick to do the copy, just like 2 clicks like that. And I feel it produces a kind of a continuum of edits, or what do you want to say? How can I say that? Basically, each image is kind of a continuation, a slight adaptation of the previous one, so that they're not too far away from each other in visual style or coloring, exposure, and so on. So by copying I don't always do this, actually. It's not necessarily a habit, but I think it's a good way to go. By doing that, each subsequent image gets closer and closer to the previous one. You don't have these big jumps in exposure, like really dark, really bright. Although that can still happen because, unfortunately, cameras expose with their light meters based on the subject matter. So if I was looking at this rock down here as opposed to up in the sky, it would expose differently. And as I'm rotating the camera around, the rock is changing position, the trees are moving around, and so it's detecting different amounts of light and adjusting the exposure. Because I don't put it on manual, like I've said. I don't shoot in manual typically, because I have reasons for it. I could do that, but I don't think it's good most of the time. Anyway, let's see. It feels like the exposure isn't changing drastically in this set though, and that's to my benefit, because it will produce a generally smoother panorama in the end. If it's not jumping up and down in exposure. There is some variance like these last ones. See, I'm not doing the habit of copying the settings. I'm just kind of going back and forth in techniques here. This one looks a little bit overexposed, maybe. At least the shadows look kind of dull. Yeah, so each one has its own little character and you have to adapt and change along with each image when you have it in auto mode. So the camera has a mind of its own. Literally. Okay. I'm gonna be a little bit not too picky on this set, I think. I think I'm already getting pretty close to happy with it. I think these last two images might be a little bit bright still, so I might bring it down just a tad. Oh, and the other thing I was about to say earlier and I forgot. I think I'm going to do the same thing I did in the previous panorama where I masked out the sky, even though I don't really want to do that because it's kind of laborsome, but I'm going to do it, I think. So I make a layer with a brush mask. Just mask out all of the blue and white for the sky. And the easiest way to do it is just to get a very rough mask in there and making sure to get all the clouds and the blue, and then I can do a Luma Range where I get all the brights but not all the darks, and that way the trees start pulling out of that mask because they are darker than the sky. You could also go about it a completely other way. Just maybe I should show that just for fun. Let's get rid of this mask, I guess. So I could do something like this. I could go into the color editor. This thing I find problematic. It's cool, but it doesn't always do what you want. So let's see. So what we can do. Let's see. Should I start with basic or advanced? Probably advanced. Okay. So I can click on the blue in the sky, and then I can view colors. Range, and it's basically making everything grayscale except for the part that I selected, which is pretty quick and powerful. It's seemingly doing exactly what I want, so that's not a bad way to go. The problem is, if I want to use that as a layer mask, or a layer as they call it in this program, I would call it a selection or a mask in other programs, but it's basically the same thing. To convert that to a layer, it has that capability here in the drop down. Create mask layer from selection. But when you do that, it's kind of weird. It doesn't look as good. Like you see these red spots in the trees, and then you see the clouds that it's not catching. So I don't really like it. So I'm gonna go back a step on there. Get rid of that. Let's try that again. I'm going to do it a little bit more controlled by, in addition to the blue, I'm going to select a second color of the white cloud. Yeah, I really like how this works. So let me see. Thing is, I don't think you can convert like multiple selections into a single layer. So it's, I don't know. I feel like there's an oversight. You should be able to shift click these two selections here and then right click on them and export or something like that. I mean, not export, but create mask layer from selection. So it's like you have to do one at a time, which is stupid because I want both of those, the white in the cloud and the blue in the sky, to be exported into a single selection layer. So because of these kind of irritating limitations, I think this isn't really a good way to go. And I think it's, but I just kind of wanted to show that as an option. That is one way to do it. You could go about like selecting the sky like I did here and converting it to a masked layer, and then essentially kind of doing the same thing I did before, where you do a Luma Range, grab all the highlights, but pull out the shadows, basically get to the same, essentially the same spot that I was at before, and it might be a few clicks less potentially, but it's basically the same. And the difference and the disadvantage of going that way is that you can see that the brightest spots in the clouds are not being selected by this mask, which is kind of annoying. So because of that, it is one way to do it. You could also actually add those back in, but I feel like doing all that is even more time consuming than just doing the original way, which I think is faster, and just doing a brush, big brush. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me go back in the color editor. It remembers this stuff, and then it's still showing the trees in grayscale and all that, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, so I have to get rid of that so that I don't see distorted color of grayscale in my image and get confused later. So yeah, let's just do it the brush way. So pushing M. One thing I would like to do is have one of those keyboard, what do you call it? Showing which keys on the keyboard I'm pressing as I'm streaming. There's plugins for that for OBS. I've just never installed them or used them, but I think that would be helpful if somebody really was actually trying to track with what I'm doing. I could see what, when I'm holding Shift or Alt or Control or some other key on the keyboard. But anyway, I don't take this too seriously. I don't consider these streams educational necessarily. I'm kind of just doing my thing. And if somebody finds it interesting and wants to chat, cool. If not, no problem. Okay, so I'm pulling out the dark, which again is the trees. By pulling this thing out, it's softening the edge, which I don't necessarily want. I kind of want more of that hard edge. Like somewhere in between is good. You don't want to have it like no transition like this, but maybe approximately where it started out is about the right amount of transition. And the other thing about this is once you apply it and then rasterize it, now you can go even further with the refine mask. This is kind of my workflow. And you could change the radius, but it's, you know, somewhere in there. If it's already pretty close, you don't really need it to be a huge radius because you don't want to weaken the edge too much, because it really is already about as close as it needs to be. So maybe 20-30 pixels or so. And now it's like super accurate, selecting just the sky, just like we want. Can't remember if there's a way to view this as I don't really like the red overlay display of masks. I'm not super well versed in CaptureOne either. So there's a few things that I have to like hunt around to find, because I just don't use it often enough. But there's probably a way to view the mask as like a black and white mask, which is what I prefer. I feel like you can see it better. The red overlay can be deceptive, especially if you're actually selecting something that's already red or orange or something. Anyway, but I'm pretty confident that's a perfect mask, so I don't really need to worry about it. So all I want to do with this is, I think I'm gonna actually bring the exposure down a little bit, because I feel like the sky is a little bit too bright. Actually, instead of using exposure, let's cancel that. Cool thing is you can like double click on a slider and it'll go back to its default, which is kind of nice. But I think I'm gonna do the levels instead, because I also want to actually boost the highlights a little bit more contrast in the clouds. I don't want to overdo it, but yeah. Okay. Oh, and then a little bit more saturation. Bring out that blue a bit more. 20. That's what I used last time. And I think that's a little bit too much on the shadows, so let's just take that back out a bit. I think that's good. So now I just need to do essentially that same thing for all these others. So just doing it a little bit quicker this time. Let's just mask out the sky. You can right click on this and oops, fill the mask, and then do the Luma. There we go. Don't forget to rasterize that, and then I could actually just be happy with that, but I'm going to do the refine just to even make it completely perfect. And then here's the thing I'm not sure about. Let's see, copying that now. Okay, so I feel like there should be a way to copy the adjustments from this adjustment layer in this image to the other adjustment layer in the other one. I don't think it's easy or straightforward though. Unfortunately, I think you have to do it in a roundabout way. This is something that I feel like they should add or improve, unless it could be a thing somewhere in a menu somewhere, and I just don't know how to do it. But you should be able to copy like this adjustment layer, which is only the sky selected, the first image. You should be able to copy the settings, which was just pulling in the levels on the top and bottom and adding 20 saturation. You should be able to copy that and then paste it to this other adjustment here. But I do not believe that is a thing in CaptureOne. You'd have to save it as a style, which is irritating, because then you just have this style that you don't really want to use except in this one session. So it really should be... There should be a way to just copy and paste, not have to save it as a style. But since I am going to use this several times in this set of photos, I guess I will save it as a stupid style. If I can give it a name. Oh, okay. Let's just call it delete this. Just give it a date. 20220717. Delete this. Now let's call it sky, boost sky. There we go. Just so I remember to delete it later and it's not something important for the future. So now I should be able to apply from custom styles. What did I call it? Boost sky. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here's before and after. Yeah, sky looks really dirty and dull. And this kind of livens it up just a tad. Okay, so now let's just keep doing that on these others. Looks like I selected part of my friend's head there, so let's make sure I don't do the adjustment to that. I'm just using the eraser tool to take that out. And at the same time, let me add in this little bit of sky behind. So, as you can see, it's only selecting the sky at this point, or the highlights essentially. And that's because it has that Luma Range thing is actually actively still there. And probably it needs to be adjusted because it's pulling some of the highlights on the bushes there. So maybe right around there. So it's like a non-destructive thing until, and that's why I've been rasterizing it, because once I'm happy with the Luma Mask, I want to make it final so that then when I do the refine, it's not going to be limiting to that Luma range. So there's the final mask. You can just see how perfect it is. It's amazing. Completely perfect. No flaw. It's better than any human being could ever do by hand. It's completely flawless. Every single needle is masked out just like you would expect anyway. Pretty amazing in my opinion. Works better than any other program that I use on a regular basis. Perhaps Photoshop does well too. I don't have Photoshop currently. I've used it. I've had jobs where I've had it installed and stuff, but I don't pay for it for my own personal use because it's not important to me. It's too expensive. I don't like subscription models. Okay, so we got that mask. Let's copy the style from my custom style. Before, after. It's quite an improvement. Okay, so let's try to speed this up. I tend to go way too slow. Why is that brush so small? Oh, I must have shrunk it down when I was, doing that little area of sky that it missed. I'm gonna have to get my friend's head this time, but kind of inevitable. I kind of have to get his face anyway, just to get that bit of sky that's under his chin, and this as well. It's back here. I could just erase it out easy enough. Should zoom in when I'm doing this. Annoyingly, I can't like mouse wheel zoom while I'm in this dialogue, which is kind of stupid, but since it's non-destructive, I can apply it and then zoom in, and these little kind of details, workflow details, are things that they should iron out. If staff was watching, the developers of this software were watching this, they should take note of such things. It just kind of slows you down to have to like go in and out of dialogues when it shouldn't really be necessary. Okay, so let's erase that bit of overlap on his back of his head there. Okay, that should be good. I'll actually erase this bit too because I don't really want to have the foreground mountains be boosted like the sky. I just want the sky itself to be boosted. Because the mountains are already blue enough due to atmospheric effects, I don't really want them to be even more blue. So I'll just take those out a little bit from the mask. It wouldn't be that noticeable, but you know, it's just one of those things that I think about. Oh, I forgot to zoom all the way out so I could see the top of the image where I needed to mask. So now that that Luma is set, it's automatically selecting only the brighter sky areas, which is pretty cool. And then once you're ready, like I said before, rasterize it and then do the refine. It's a pretty good workflow. It works pretty great every time. So now the mountains are not selected and all the needles are perfectly selected, and we apply the boost again, and my eyes are dry. I need to go to bed soon. Probably won't be a long stream. I might only, like I said, just do this one panorama, and then even if it doesn't take super long, just do a short stream so that I'm not staying up all night. Okay. Also kind of losing my voice when it gets late like this. Don't have to get a perfect mask every time. One key that, well, it's not entirely absolutely crucial, but it's good if you're taking a picture of a living thing, whether that's a plant, animal, or person. You don't want them to move in the overlapping panorama images. So if you're taking a picture of a person like this, you just tell them, hey, I'm taking a panorama shot, don't move for a minute. So that we can take several shots where it's overlapping the person's face or just the person at all. You don't want them to move. You can actually deal with that by either anti-ghosting features of panorama stitching, or in the case of Hugin, what I would do is masking out the person in all but one of the images. And typically what I do is I choose the image where they are center most in the frame or in the shot, because then there's less lens distortion on them. So like I wouldn't choose this one, I would choose this one. See how he's like in the center, and this one he's on the left, this one he's on the right. So I would, in Hugin, I would say use this one and then mask out as an exclude mask on the other two. Anyway, okay, so where was I? Here we go. I'm tired to the point where I could easily make mistakes here, forget a step, whatever. You can also mess with the radius and sensitivity, which kind of does a similar thing to what the refine mask does. It's almost like this is all in one. Like I could put this probably at like 20 pixels like I have the other thing. And the refine thing, and it's almost like it's doing the same thing, but I'm not familiar enough with it to be confident in those settings, so I usually don't really mess with it. And I just do them as two separate steps because they're pretty quick anyway. But if you didn't want to have a destructive mask, didn't want to rasterize it and refine it and all that, you could do it that way. You'd come up with pretty much the same result. Oop, for some reason I got This part excluded just because it was dark. So the Luma Mask took it out. Okay. There we go. And apply my settings. So let's take a peek at that. Here is before and after, before and after. Okay, in this case, I feel like I'm blowing the highlights just a little bit here. It's not significant, but I'm going to pull that upper end of the levels that I'm doing up higher on that particular image just to make sure I'm not blowing out any highlights. I could also come in here to the high dynamic range and pull the shadow, the highlight slider down, but I think it's about right where it is. Okay, so this one actually looks pretty good as is. It's not as dull as the others, but I'm still going to do my little process here. I think I'm going to make this hardness very hard so it doesn't have a soft edge. Let's see what if I get a better result. I'm going to do a very sloppy mask going across here, just a straight line. Okay, I'll try that again. Okay, so I'm just going to do some clicks instead. It seems to do a pretty good job with its auto outline thing. In not every case though. It can't really decipher the difference between the trees. I mean the sky and the mountains, since they're both kind of a grayish blue. Let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna go back in here. I want to see though, like if I just refine straight from here, how close does it get? It's not bad. I mean, like I could bring this up and it would be a pretty good result. You can see how it's conforming to the various parallax levels in the background, kind of a thing, but it tends to do a little bit better job when you give it more information, more accuracy. So I'm going to go in here and do a little bit better with outlining these. Just erase some of that. Definitely doesn't need to be perfect. And my eyes are dry. Ugh. I really should go to sleep because I feel tired. Like I don't feel tired most of the time. Most of the time I'm just like some form of insomnia or another. But the funny thing is, usually as soon as I lay down, I just become wide awake again. It's almost like every time. I probably don't need to make these mountains even as close as I'm doing here. Make this go a lot faster by not being so picky about it, because it's not really going to be that noticeable. But may as well do a halfway decent job. Okay. Now I need to grab the rest of the sky, make the brush way bigger, and just blob it in. Luma Range. Rasterize so I can fill in the holes on the top, and then refine. And then I can come and look, take a peek at those peaks. Just see how perfect it is. Like, I did a sloppy mask, but when I refined it, it's like, oh, so you want me to highlight every single little tiny tree on the edge of the horizon? Sure, I can do that. Super smart. I love it. It's perfection. Except right here where I probably missed a spot there. And it's kind of cool, like, even though that seems like a mistake, like you can see I'm erasing some reddish stuff here. That's partially selecting that mountain range. It's actually a good thing because you don't want really hard edges. You want some selection overlap. Otherwise it doesn't look like a natural mask when you do your adjustments. So I probably should refine that again just to make sure I don't get that hard edge where I was erasing. It doesn't really matter that much, but it can be noticeable at times. Okay. Before and after. Once again, I think I'm gonna pull down the top level, or pull up, I guess, so I don't clip the highlights. I could slide this down. Actually, yeah, that does look better. Slide that down, and maybe on the previous one too, I'll do a tiny bit for this area here. Don't need to do much. But I think that does look better, so I will. Just makes it more dynamic on the cloud outlines and whatnot. Just don't want to overdo it. Yeah, it looks better to do a tad bit of that though. Okay, which one was I on? Did that one. So 2 left. It's quite gray, not a lot of blue, but I'm still gonna follow through with my process. Wish there was actually, this might do a decent job on these because they're dark. So if I keep this inner circle outside of those mountain ranges, it should only select more or less the sky area because there's quite a contrast. It didn't do a very good job though. Let's see, there's probably a setting. I'm not super familiar with this. Maybe is it? Yeah, I feel like there should be a settings dialog for the. Actually, if I right click. Opacity, flow, blah, blah, blah. I feel like there's not like a similarity toggle, not toggle, slider for like, 0 to 255, like how similar the colors are when you do this intelligent edge thing. There should be a control over that because obviously it's like wildly. Oh, you know what though? Actually, I think it. I don't know why it's doing that, honestly. I thought it would do a better job. Like, it does a pretty decent job on those trees, but it doesn't seem to want to differentiate between the mountains and the sky. I'm sure there is a slider for that. I'm just not familiar enough with CaptureOne's interface to know where it is. I feel like it's probably one of these. It could be not opacity, probably not flow either, but I'm going to try it. Let's see if it does anything. No, that's not good. Not sure. The auto mask is the thing that detects the edges, but there's no slider to tell how similar the colors are, which is what I'm looking for. Maybe it's just not there. It's disappointing because that would be the quickest way to grab the edge there. However, in this case, I'm going to use the Luma Mask, so I'm going to be very sloppy, grab the mountains even, potentially. Well, let's just see what happens. I'm going to go super sloppy all over the place and see what the Luma does and see what other tricks we can do. So I don't have to go back and brush that out like I've been doing, erasing it and stuff. So let's try this and see how close we can get to the edge there. So that's pretty stinking good. And if I pull it back even further, it gets even closer to what I want. And then I can just refill that in pretty easily. I think that's probably, maybe I can even do this. It's not necessarily the best result ever, but play around with these sliders, see if it does anything that I want. There, it's about as close as I can get with the Luma Mask, and then I can just rasterize it and paint back in the bulk of the sky. So it, I don't know, it's arguable, like, is it faster to do it this way or to do a more fine-tuned erasure of the mountain range profile? I don't know. It's kind of a give and take. I think this is a little bit faster to do it this way. And then I can do yet another secondary Luma Range to correct some of those tree branches that I grabbed. Something like that. It's not bad. And then, now that it's relatively close, I can rasterize it again and refine it. See what we come up with. I think I'll bring up that radius more than 26 since I was a little bit sloppier there. Yeah, sometimes you have to just keep going back and forth until you get exactly what you need. That's pretty good. Oh, shoot. Hey. Another thing is, like, as I've been changing those settings, I am not updating the style. So let me see if I can save settings as style. I wonder if I can select that one that already exists and just overlay it. I should be able to. Yep, that's good. Now I can copy that in. Before and after. In this particular case, I don't really want to add massive I can't even think. I'm getting tired. Saturation. I don't really want to add massive saturation to this. The clouds. I didn't really think of this, but in reality, let me see. Can I fix this? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back on what I've been doing here. I don't really want to add saturation to the clouds. I want to keep them more or less grayscale, or at least a similar amount of grayscale that they started out with. So I'm gonna do 2 different layer masks. Way more time, but it's more what I want. I really only want to boost the saturation in the blue area, so I am going to go about it in the other method by using the color editor and see how if this gets me where I want to be. So let's view selected range. Mask. see what that gave me. Get rid of this and go over here. Here's my second one. That didn't really do what I wanted. Yeah, that sucks. Let's get rid of that. Oh, shoot. I forgot to go up on this one too. Sloppy. Okay, yeah, that's very unfortunate. Oh, actually, you know what? I don't have to go about it quite exactly the same way. So instead of using a mask, I'm essentially going to just use a color editor directly. So if it's hard to tell what it's selecting though, that's the problem. When the only way you can view it is by this grayscale method, which I do not like. I really don't like it. It's dumb. They need to add a black and white, or even in this case, it's possible the red overlay would be useful, but generally speaking, they need to there are several options of viewing your mask. So the way it views the selected color range is by making everything grayscale that's not selected, but the clouds kind of are grayscale, so I cannot tell if they're selected. It's really stupid. There should be other ways to view it, and I don't know if there are. Don't get the impression there is. There might be. Anyway, so what I'm going to try is, no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I was going to add saturation here, so like 20 or whatever. I don't like that. I don't like using two different methods to do different things because you can't really tell. It's a confusing workflow. I don't have a way to like easily toggle it from the same screen. It's kind of doing what I want, I think, but I don't know for sure. It could be selecting these grayscale areas of the clouds and boosting the saturation on those just like the layer is doing. And I wouldn't really know for sure because the mask, viewing the mask selection is not definitive, or you can't tell what it's selecting. So I don't like that at all. So I have to go about it a little bit longer way if I really want to make sure it's doing what I want it to do. And that is... yeah, I'm getting tired, and this is taking longer because I'm being more perfectionist about it. But I want to get the result I want, so I'm going to do it. So yeah, I'm going to brush only the blue areas of the sky and nothing else. So that would be like out here. Oops. I meant to do a second one, so... there we go. So we just want this area, like right there, approximately. Could be very sloppy, but not too sloppy. That's kind of the sky areas right there. Some up here as well. And then let's see what a refine. Actually, first I'm going to do the Luma Range. In this case, I think I can make a much fuzzier transition, so I'm going to pull this way out. Why is it? Look at how harsh those circles are on the edge. I don't understand why it's doing that. What's going on? Oh, I need to do the opposite, so I want to select the darks and not the lights. That's why. Haha. Go. Really? Why? Why is it doing that? Just... yeah, that's not really being very useful. So instead of doing the Luma, because this stuff down here is actually pretty bright as these clouds are. So yeah, it's really difficult to do this. I'm just going to refine it with a massive radius and call it good, because it's going to do a pretty good job. You can see that it's more or less sticking to the blue areas, not perfectly because it's selecting these some of the white areas, but it's close enough. So on this one, on the one that's the entire sky, that I am going to take the saturation down, which I already did, and then on this one I'm going to take the saturation up to 20. Oh, kind of a pain. So on this one, take the saturation down. I know what I can do. So what I could do then, let's try this. There's another way about going about it. So let's copy this one. Actually, let's create a new one. Create a new mask layer, adjustment layer, whatever. And copy mask from the other one. So that's what it looks like. But let's do a Luma Range. This one's going to work a little bit better because there's less grayscale conflicts, I think. So we want to do all the darks and not the lights. Like so. That's pretty good. That's not bad at all. And let's erase some of these areas over here. Oop. Let's make that a little bit fuzzier. No hardness, size much bigger. And just erase some of that. Nope, that's kind of hard to tell, but this is cloud. But that up there is sky, so I don't want to erase that part. And this is cloud. Okay. That's pretty good, and then let's just refine that and see what happens. I'd say that's pretty good. Generally only affecting the sky area. It'd be nice if I was selecting this part down here a little bit more. Let me see if I can achieve that with just a little brushing in. Pretty good. So that's going to be saturation plus 20. And there we go. So generally speaking, I'm only brightening the blue of the sky and not this grayscale area up here. Let's verify that by before and after. Yeah. It's subtle, but I think it's important, especially on those last images where the mountains or some of the... Actually, the reason is because it's almost all clouds, and really the only area I want to saturate is this little bit of blue here, because the rest is actually clouds. I don't want that to be more saturated. So that's why I went about this whole extra step, which is kind of annoying that I have to do it. But I think it's important. Kind of a learning experience too, when you do different things like this that you haven't done before exactly, then you sort of learn new ways to go about it. Sometimes I wish I didn't notice these things, because I would have, if I didn't notice that it was making these clouds, like, just as an example. See how this is basically grayscale? It just looks totally gray. When I do this adjustment on the whole sky, it makes it blue here, which it really shouldn't be blue. I wish I wouldn't have noticed that, because now I have to fix it. But at the same time, I'm glad I noticed it, because you always want a better result. But more work, more time. In this case, actually, yeah, in this case, it's going to be quicker. Instead of copying and doing all that erasing, I'm just going to create a new one and brush in the very small areas of sky. They're like right here, there. Oops. So I'll do a smaller, more accurate brush. Right there, right there, there, right there. I don't know why it's not changing. I'm clicking, it's not doing anything. What? Why? What? It's not doing anything. That's weird. It's like it's refresh is broken or something. I don't know. It's strange. Or I crashed it. I don't know. Hopefully I didn't crash it. Very weird. It's not changing the selection when I'm clicking. I don't get it. It's like transparency is locked or something. I don't know. Ah, come on. Okay, I'm gonna start over. Just delete that layer. I don't know why it's doing that. And just create a new one. That was weird. This is necessarily faster, but I think it'll get me closer to what I want, generally speaking. Maybe. We'll see. You see how super sloppy I'm getting here? Oh, shoot. I always forget to zoom out and see what I'm missing at the top. Super sloppy selection. Just going around this a bit. Boink. Actually, let's just do that whole area, and then I'll do a... I think I got all the blue. The rest of this is supposed to be grayscale. Okay, so then I will do a Luma. Gets me relatively close, and then I flatten it and refine it, or rasterize, refine it, and that should get me like really close, as close as I care to be. Just review that mask, and it's pretty much selecting only the blue sky areas, more or less. It's not perfect, but good enough for me. So we retain the grayscale over here instead of massively making it blue, which looked stupid. Okay. So, 2 more to do, and then I can finally do the panorama and hope that it stitches well enough that I don't have to intervene too much. So get rid of the saturation there, make a new mask, just do the blue here. All the the sky in that one. Good. One more to go. Oh, this one, I didn't even do anything on this one yet. I haven't adjusted the sky or anything. Hip hip hooray. Okay. Alright. Try to remember what I am doing. Let's see. So B for brush, M for mask. Make it bigger with the bracket keys. I guess click there and shift click over here to make a line across. Fill the rest of this in. Make sure to zoom out so I don't forget to do the top. And in this case, I don't know, I can't figure out how the best way to do these mountain ranges is. I think probably just kind of manually. Takes more time, but not really that much. Have to get a little bit close, not terribly perfect, but otherwise it seems to not be super smart on some of those things. Does generally a good job, but there's a few situations where I kind of predict it's going to have difficulty. So give it a little bit of a head start and then it'll do a better job. Just wish there was an automated bit for this, but it's worth to do a little extra work to make it look better. That should be good enough, and then this. Selecting a lot of the color of the tree on this one for some reason. Might not have done my Luma Mask quite right. Let me try that again. Interesting. So the branches in this particular tree are almost white. It's kind of the same color as the sky, so it's not able to pull those out manually or with an intelligence or whatever. So I'm gonna have to give it a little bit more help on that. that gave it enough information to refine it a little bit better. Still not perfect, but it's going to be good enough for me. Okay, so that one, copy the settings from the style that I saved. Except get rid of this. And then do a second layer. It's only the blue, which is up here at the top. So in this particular one, I'm feeling like the blue is pretty dark. So, instead of pulling the bottom levels in, I'm not going to do that at all because it'll make it too dark. Take away that. I feel like there should be ways to combine techniques here. So, well, for example, let me think. Yeah, it's not quite as versatile as like Photoshop. So I should be able to select a sloppy mask like that, but then like there's a way to like negate and add masks from other masks. So like what I would want to do maybe is do a color editor mask type thing and only select the blue up here, for example. So that I'm only choosing that blue. And then save that as a layer mask. Mask layer, whatever. I don't like the terminology in this program that much. Okay, so now that I'm selecting that blue area more or less. Ew, that's terrible. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I feel like there should be a way to subtract or mask a mask out by color range essentially. So yeah, do the Luma Mask thing and get rid of the whites from this mask. But also only affect the blue areas. You could do that kind of stuff in Photoshop, but not necessarily in here. It's a little bit limiting, but I think I'll get a decent result anyway. But see, like in this case, I'm selecting the dark areas of this tree, which are green rather than blue, so I don't really want to select those. But there is blue here in the sky, so it's kind of a little bit conflict of interest. That's why I was having that internal discussion there. I don't even know how I go about doing that actually, because if I do the Luma Mask, Luma Range, only grab the darks and fade out the whites, which is generally what I want, it's still going to have the branches selected because they are dark. So how do I do that? I don't think there's a way to like combine masks by subtract, add kind of Boolean operations, unfortunately. That's something they should add, I think, in my opinion. Get tired. Okay, this particular image, I'm gonna have to go about it a different way. I'm just gonna use a color editor. Plain and simple. Select the blue. And that's it. And then create a mask layer from that. Go back over here. And then from that, I'm going to do the Luma Range. We'll see how that works. I think that'll work better than what I was doing. Now I'm only affecting the blue area of the spectrum, generally speaking. Obviously that's not entirely true because you can see red all over the place here, but I'm going to get it close, rasterize it, and then use a huge eraser to get rid of all the extra crap. Make it a little bit fuzzy, so hardness 0. Just get rid of all this extra stuff that I don't want to affect because I really just want the blue sky. Just confirm these are not part of it here. Really just that top area and a little bit around the branches on the left top. None of this should be affected. Yeah, that was a little bit roundabout. Little roundabout way of going. But I don't know how else to do it. And just to confirm that I'm actually erasing these, I'm going to make the brush gigantic. That's pretty good. Now I can refine it and probably be pretty confident it's only... I mean, it's getting some of the edges of these needles, which I don't want, but let's see what happens when I refine it. It might just magically do what I want. Yep. I don't know how, but it knew. It's like it read my mind. Okay. Getting close. That is like the last one. Ugh, these trees look a little bit blasé to me. But I'm gonna leave them. I think they're fine. Okay, so let's process these all. I mean, export all these as TIFFs, and then start the Hugin process, which hopefully, crossing my fingers, will go smoothly. It's just already taking forever. as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I am going to do a little preventative action here and mask out my friend on the ones where he's on the left and right, and only keep the one where he's in the centers. Just to avoid a little extra problems. Just in case he was moving a little bit. Might have to do the same with the trees around the side, but maybe I should try to prevent that as well. I'm gonna leave it. Sometimes when you put too many masks, it causes problems. Let's just leave it simple. I think this is gonna be challenging. Look at this angle of that tree. It's weird. I need a different projection. Unless it actually was bent sideways like that. Doesn't seem like it should be. Check the original component images. That seems weird. Yeah, if anything, they're bending to the left a little bit. But in the panorama, it looks like they're angling to the right. Just have to fiddle with the projection stuff until it possibly doesn't look quite as distorted, maybe. We'll see. Sometimes distortion is a good thing, though, too. Like it can exaggerate the view and make it look interesting or whatever. Get that a lot in 360 photos and video, for example. The little planets and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but I don't want to do too much of that this time, but I would like to minimize the distortion on the tree that I'm seeing. So just kind of play around with. This one's actually not terrible. Normally cylindrical is one of the best choices, but I don't know, it's looking weird. I think the horizon's going to be cut up too. This looks like some very significant shifts going on the edge, but not much I can do about that. Other than maybe some masking, but I'll probably have to fix it manually if it's cut too much. Something tells me this is not going to be as smooth of a... Oh, I almost forgot to get rid of the exposure correction. I have the feeling this might not be the most smooth stitching process. Manual intervention required, but we'll find out. Might get lucky. Definitely ready to go to bed as soon as this one's done. Crazy how long it takes. Hour and a half been streaming, just working on one panorama. It's so ridiculous. Of course I had that little monologue at the beginning, but still definitely over an hour. One photo basically. No wonder I'm years behind on developing photos. But I'm always happy with the results if I spend all this time. But I wish there was just a compromise somewhere in the middle where I didn't have to do this much work and still get good results. Okay, please work. I already see at least one stitching error right here, but hopefully there's not like tons. And actually the trees do not look as distorted as they do in Hugin. It's weird. Like here in Hugin, no, actually, I guess they look better now that I changed the projection and I kind of drug it down so that the horizon was a little bit more level. I guess that got rid of a lot of the issues that I was noticing at the beginning, so generally I think it turned out good. But I do have a few, at least one stitching error. Generally looks pretty good. There's nothing. No trees cut in half over there. These trees are good. The mountains are good. Still good here. Yeah, it's just this one right there. Might be all. That'd be awesome. Oh, here's another minor error here. Friend is not cut in half anywhere. This tree is good. Oh, here we go. One little problem. Ooh, actually that's kind of a big problem. That tree is mangled. I might try fixing that tree with a mask, and everything else I think is I can fix manually pretty easily. Just that that tree is terrible right there. So let me see if I can restitch it after fixing that with the mask. Hopefully that'll do the trick. I need to find it first. It's right above the backpack. This tree right here. So one of them I need to keep. Oh, definitely that one. So let's get rid of this one. Hopefully that'll do it. That was one of the things that I was considering doing, but I didn't want to overdo the number of masks. So you put too many in there and this weird stuff starts happening. You get these weird black distorted spots. But that one definitely needs some help. Okay, let's stitch that again, see what we come up with. Do. I wonder how many more panoramas I have in this set. Let me do a quick look. Probably a lot. take more panoramas than non-panoramas, I think, most of the time. Which means massive work. Ooh, that one looks, I like that one. That's the first one I used as a stream thumbnail for this series of streams. Ugh, tons of panoramas to do. Yeah. Oh no. It's like all panoramas. But eventually I'll finish this set of photos, like 3 years from now, maybe. Come on, Mask, do your magic. It helped, but what? Actually, I mean, it kind of helped, but not necessarily that well. I'm actually kind of confused what's going on there. I need to look at the originals, I think. I might have to do a second rendering of all the layers separately to get this one to work. Yeah, I don't know why that tree is getting cut in half. It's definitely related to parallax, like it's trying to match up the boulder in the foreground, and the background is moving at a faster rate horizontally as I was scrolling across, so yeah, I can't match both. So let me think. Think. What am I gonna do? I think I have to stitch it again and save the intermediate images so that I can cut and paste from those to get cloned material back in. Blah blah blah. Boring. Well, not boring, but time consuming. So let's save remapped images, and that should get me what I need, I believe. But it means I have to run the stitch again. Oh well. Maybe I should always have that remapped images checkbox checked. I don't know if it takes any longer. It's essentially, I think it's just saving the intermediate TIFF files with the layer mask for each one. Or what do you call it? I don't know. Channel. Alpha channel, that's what I was trying to think of. Anyway, I think that'll allow me to cut and paste stuff and get this finished here. Except that usually when I do that kind of stuff, I end up crashing Affinity Photo several times. So we'll see. Let's see if I can get through it without a million crashes tonight, hopefully. I'm pretty much an expert at finding the vulnerabilities of this program. If it's crashable, I will crash it. Not on purpose, of course, just happens every time. Just trying to do my thing and it doesn't like it. Yeah, I don't think that takes any longer to save the immediate images, and then I can cut and paste stuff from them. Bonus. Okay. Man, I'm tired. I don't usually get this tired. I think I haven't slept enough for several days, and it starts adding up, and like I'm an insomnia guy, stay up late all the time, but I do it a certain number of days in a row. It's like I can't do it anymore. Oh, actually, I think I have a perfect explanation. Normally, I catch up on sleep on the weekends, and my dad and I had some work this weekend. That's basically the entire reason right there. Didn't get to sleep in on Saturday, so... Okay, so this... Yeah, okay. I'm gonna try the cut and paste for that, because that would get rid of some of that nasty stuff there. Let's try this one, I think. So I'm looking for this little tree branch here and the background mountains. I don't really understand the thing. Yeah, I'm tired. I don't understand why it distorts so much on one side of this and not the other. Like this entire half of that area is completely in line with where it should be. And this other side is like way off. It's crazy. They have a good explanation for that. I have to pull this way over here to get this little set of needles to line up. And then these still don't line up. And it's just probably erase those because it's so bad. I'd have to pull this way over here and then everything just gets distorted. So I think I'm just going to get it relatively close like that, which is pretty good. Apply that. Here's before, here's after. So see, I'm trying to get rid of this weird almost drop shadow dirty effect in the sky, and it totally eliminates that. It also fixes this area of the mountain horizon line. Now the only thing I have to do is erase the parts that look like crap, which is these weird little ghosted tops of trees, tree tops. Oh, weird. Okay. Wait a minute. isn't that erasing that? I don't understand. Doesn't make sense. Literally like clicking on this area to erase. It's not. Oh, what is it? It's doing something strange here. Oh, background eraser. I don't know how I got on there. It should just be the eraser. Okay. That's why. That was weird. Okay. That's it. That should be good enough. Let's flatten that and save it before it crashes. There's still a minor break, and I guess just to be a perfectionist, I'll fix it. I don't think most people would notice, but I see it, so I'll fix it. This little secondary tree line has a little break in it right there, so I guess I'll go fix that. It's very minor, but why not? Make it good. It's hard to fix one thing without breaking another though, so it might not work out quite right. I'm crashing it. Yep, I think I'm crashing it. Annoying. It's so easy to crash this program. It's ridiculous. Close Hugin just to free up some memory. And since I know I'm done with CaptureOne, I'll close that too. Ugh, so irritating. Just close this because it's dead. Dead in the water. So much for stability that I might get through without crashing. I don't understand. I think Affinity Photo has massive amounts of memory leaks. I think it's actually developed poorly. I don't like to be so cruel, but I think it's true. Because I am not doing anything out of the ordinary, like super high task stuff. I mean, it shouldn't be crashing. But I crash. It's literally every time I work on these kind of photos, it crashes 100% of the time. It's really irritating. Okay. I wish they would watch. I wish Seraph would watch these videos. And just be like, whoa, that's unstable. Because I think developers care about their product. Almost every developer out there. And if they saw how bad it is, they'd be like, yikes, I thought we had that down. And they'd be like, okay, let's investigate this and see why it's doing that so much. But anyway, like I've mentioned before, I used to do software testing for this company, Seraph, before they launched the Affinity line of products. It was just volunteer work, just for fun, but I caught a lot of errors back then. And generally the perception is that things are a lot better now, but yeah, I don't know. I can sure make it crash. Okay. I'm just shifting that green area down so it matches this side over here. It's never going to be perfect, but it'll be good enough. Okay. that area should be fixed. Now I just have to hunt around the image a little bit more. There was, I think, one other area that had an issue. And that issue is probably still there. Yep, there it is. But let's check for others, because that... Oh, this tree, I forgot. This tree is annoying. Okay. So right above the backpack. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, okay. I wonder if I already have that image open. No, because it crashed. Okay. Alright. So I need to just grab a piece of this tree here. Not sure how much of it, but generally try to go as close to the backpack as I can without... Well, actually I can even grab the backpack just as a position reference. Some of these other trees, something like that. Feather, maybe 50 pixels or so. Copy that. Paste. Changing the blend mode to exclusion because it makes it a little bit easier to line up common features in this kind of situation, I've found. But you line up one area and then the other, another area, and it gets misaligned, so it's pretty difficult to really do it that way. So like this branch here is aligned, but nothing else over here is. Let's stretch this out until it gets close over here, and maybe skew it a little bit. Just to get it approximately in the right position. That's getting close. Maybe close enough for that first transform, and then just try erasing the bottom part and seeing if that's good enough to keep it simple. Make a huge eraser. Just gonna erase the backpack. Some of the lower branches and to make it clone repeats too much. Definitely some clone problems up in the clouds there, but clouds are easier to forgive. Stitching errors generally. Generally speaking, I think that is probably going to be okay. That's going to be good enough for me. I don't think anyone would notice that. So the only other thing, I need to save this before it crashes again, which it might crash before I have a chance to save it. Super annoying. It's very, very, very sketchy right now. Taking all of my system resources. Okay, let's try saving it real quick. unbelievable how unstable it is. Doing very, very simple things here. I think it's, I mean, it could just be because the files are so big. I mean, panorama stitched files are pretty gigantic in pixel dimensions, but I mean, I still feel like there's no real excuse for how choppy this is. So I'm just gonna force close this, reopen, free up the memory leaks. It's like a love-hate relationship with software testers too. Like, developers want their stuff to work, so you know they have a certain amount of pride. Like, if I see a problem, I'm gonna fix it. But then there's like just a weariness, I think, that comes over them. They're just like, oh, okay, we've been working on this so long. It's working for most people, and then they like probably feel like this pesky software tester just finds all these stupid bugs. Like, just make him go away because everyone else seems to be happy. You know, you get that kind of feeling sometimes that when you're doing that job, if you're doing it as a job or volunteer work, whatever, just like people start to, they appreciate what you're doing, but at the same time they kind of hate you because they're pointing out all their errors and they may not even be able to fix it. Like when I was doing testing for Serif, like sometimes they would fix the problem, other times they're just like, we can't, they just couldn't do it, or they didn't have the staff to dedicate to the problem, or anyway, that it's just kind of frustrating because, you know, you do your part as this tester and find the error, have it repeatable, give them the error codes, and they just don't ever fix it. So it's a remaining bug forever. Hopefully this one won't be too hard to fix. Oh, actually, yeah, let me do the same thing on this one. Instead of manually going that route, I'm going to copy and paste, just like I have been. It's pretty good. Not perfect as always, but pretty unnoticeable. I think that was everything. Let's see. Let me save it one more time. Oops, let me flatten it first. Okay, now all I really have to do is just do a quick check. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else that I want to care about fixing. Looks pretty good, really. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't check the clouds, make sure there's no clouds cut in half strangely. Clouds generally are hard to spot when they are cut in half unless it's a pretty big deal. Looks good to me. Okay. Yeah, it's basically perfect. So export as a JPEG. And the very last thing is to copy the Exif tags from one of the component images to the final. Okay, so now I can carefully delete everything else. Actually, before I do that, let me just double check this real quick. And may as well just kind of look at it anyway, sort of as the end of stream. I think it looks pretty awesome. Boulders really captures the scale of things when you do a panorama. You just do a single shot, you can't really tell like where everything's positioned and how big it is. Looks pretty good. Alright. Now I can just safely delete all these extra crap files. So it's not filling my hard drive because they're gigantic. Way to there. So all of the intermediate TIFFs and everything and raw files all together is 6.36 gigabytes just for that one panorama. So goodbye, gone. Now I just have one 30 megabyte file. Quite a bit of hard drive savings going on. So yeah, a lot of work, but I think it paid off. Like the clouds are still pretty grayscale. Yeah, they have a blue cast to them, which is natural anyway, but they're not like crazy oversaturated. So the extra work of masking out just the sky areas for the saturation, adding and then boosting the levels on everything else in the sky, I think definitely was worth the time. A lot of work, but it turned out pretty good. So I'm pretty happy with it. All right. I think I'm going to end my stream because it's crazy late and I need to get some sleep. So thanks for joining me, and I will catch y'all next time.